Hey, what's up, everyone? This is me, Dre. Just wanted to report in about the incident that happened with David Sterling, owner of the LA Clippers. Now, the ban hammer has come down. The NBA top office has banned David Sterling for life for his racist comments that he made during that recording. Now, a lot of people have mixed reviews on this, and I'm at CNN.com because where something big like this happens, I generally like to look at CNN.com just to check out the forums and see what people have to say. And lo and behold, it's not a surprise that a lot of people are not necessarily defending Sterling, but the closet racists do come out and kind of question, especially when they're talking about what was said against blacks and this and that, because the topic, when it comes to race, there's always going to be people from one side or the other that have a specific view, and what they're basically saying is that the woman, talking about V. Stiviano, she illegally obtained that recording. And it could be a question of whether it was illegal or legal. The main fact is it's been put out in public, and it's really no different than when you have the text messages from any politician that lead to them dropping out of a political race, or at least dropping them out of office from their status in the government. It's no different, and you don't really see people question that. But when it comes to this topic, because it is primarily race involved, you get a lot of closet racists that'll come out and say what they want to, because once again, when it comes to the forums, and I've said this several times before, you hide behind some sort of pseudonym, no profile picture. And on mine, I use a pseudonym as well, but I clearly indicate who I am. And some people, they'll say, well, I'm black when they're white or Asian or whatever, but they'll try to justify their comments. But what's happening is he's been banned, and his comments have led to sponsors, stopping their support of the team. You have Adidas and other companies that have taken their support away, no longer sponsoring the team. Financially, that's going to hurt the LA Clippers. The top office at the NBA, they're going to try to force a sale of the company. Now, we're talking about a team that was purchased back in the early 80s for about $12 million. Now, that's a lot of money, but when you look at it from a sports team standpoint, that's what you would get for a player on a team. That's what, the salary of a player on a team. Now the team is worth about $550 million, something to that effect. In the past, the Clippers have been a shit team. I don't really follow basketball, as I've indicated in my previous video. From what I understand, they have a strong running with the possibility of making it to the finals, or at least the quarterfinals, whatever the case is. So, congratulations, because, when I first moved to Texas, the Mavericks were a shit team, and they came up, good coaching, good personnel brought in, and they became a very difficult team to beat. And they've won one or two championships, I think. I don't follow them, but we're not talking about the Mavericks. We're talking about just basketball in general, and the owner in question, Donald Sterling. Again, I don't defend Stiviano because I think the bitch is dirty. One, whatever her ulterior motive is, vengeance, feeling slighted, whatever the case is, she recorded that conversation. She did prolong the conversation and kind of lead in a certain way. So it reveals Sterling for who he was. It's not that it was a mystery to anyone, because he's already been in a hot seat for shit that happened in the past with his lack of desire to house minorities such as Mexicans and Hispanics. So her being with him for 4 years, as I've stated in my previous video, she knew the relationship that she was getting into. If she really had a problem with it, then she could have easily gotten out of the relationship, have a bit more respect for herself as a woman, not necessarily a woman of color, but just as a woman. But at the same time, when we're speaking of women of color, for her to say the bullshit at the start of the conversation, I wish I could change the color of my skin, that right there just led me to believe this bitch is dirty. So, what she did in terms of really putting his shit out there in the public, I'm not going to question the validity or the legality of how that recording was obtained, because there's a lot of things that happen, especially once again when you talk about politicians who do dirt and then it comes to light because there might be text messages that are exposed, some sort of videotaping from a third party that shows a politician coming out of a hotel or in some sort of compromising position that makes people question his ability to lead. And that's what it all boils down to. We have a guy who is the owner of an NBA team who employs several black people, but he has a problem with his then girlfriend taking a picture with a black man, not wanting her to bring her black friends to the games. And somebody on Twitter said it best, I'm going to paraphrase. They essentially said, it's okay to play on his court. It's okay for his biracial black/Mexican girlfriend to hop on his dick, but don't bring them to the game. What kind of bullshit is that? And there's a lot of people, when you're speaking on the forum, that are indirectly defending him because of his comments. This needed to be put out in the public because eventually he was going to be exposed. It just so happens that he was exposed by this woman. And once again, whatever happens to her, whether there's going to be some sort of a criminal investigation about her recording the conversations, I really don't give a shit about that. The public knowing this about Donald Sterling, that just makes it more damning for him. He has hurt the team. And some people, one person even had the audacity to question, what was his crime? He is the owner of an NBA team. The brand for the NBA, they're all about equality. When you look at the league, 80% black, I'm not saying that's equal, but anyone of any ethnic background can play for the NBA. You have people coming over from Europe that are playing in the NBA and doing quite well. You have people from South America, Mexico, and you have blacks, of course. It's not relegated to just one race. So I'm not going to sit here and say it should only be for black people. Basketball is a sport, and all sports should be for all people who can play or participate in said sport. So this definitely needed to come out. Him being banned, good for him in the long run, because he was fined like $2.5 million. And if he sells the team, keep in mind, once again, he purchased the team for $12 million, and the net worth of the team is about $500 million, $550 million, and his own net worth is about $1.9 billion. So even if he sells a team, he's going to have a lot more money just from that transaction than a lot of us have. So he's making out like a bandit. He's 80 years old. Not to be mean, but it's not like he's got a lot of time left to spend that money. That inheritance is going to go to his family, whatever the case is. When I'm reading some of this shit about how his wife is trying to sue Stiviano, we're talking about a woman that may not necessarily have a lot of respect for herself, because keep in mind, it's his wife, and then you have Stiviano as the girlfriend or the mistress, whatever title you want to give to her. So the question is, what is she doing about her husband? And the answer is probably nothing. That's her meal ticket right there. He's the one with the money, and I guess it's okay for him to have a mistress, but then when shit goes down, she wants to sue the mistress for monies that were given to her, any expensive items like cars or jewelry or even property that may have been given to her. She's trying to sue her for that, which I think is frivolous, but that's California. Between California and New York, two of those sue-happy states where it's a lot of frivolous lawsuits being thrown around, but that's neither here nor there. What it all boils down to is the news is out. You can go to CNN.com. You can go to ESPN. Just any news outlet that's going to report about the sports, you will see that Donald Sterling, he's basically said what he needed to say. And of course, he can have his own racist views, but now that he's been outed for it, he has that First Amendment right to freedom of speech. But there's also the concept of understanding the consequences for that freedom of speech. Whether it was a private conversation, it's public now. So TMZ exposed him. Stiviano exposed him. He exposed himself simply because he has that way of thinking. And you can be racist and think what you want, but when you're in a high position like he is, the consequences, you have a lot more to lose. So, you know, utilizing or at least exhibiting some tact, knowing what to say and when to say it. Obviously, he wasn't aware that he was being recorded, so is an open conversation, but it's open to the public now. So good for him on being ousted and banned from the NBA. I think they did the right things. You have the players that, especially for the LA Clippers, that are in between because they have their employer. This guy signs their checks. But at the same time, it's a matter of pride. Apparently, if the team is doing well, you also have the fan base. They want to see the team do well, but at the same time, you know, when you're looking at, you know, hell, I mean, some people maybe don't care, but, you know, you have others that are like, how can I support this team? And a lot of people will question me because I'm a huge fan of the Washington Redskins. And for as long as I've been a fan, there's always been a question as far as the name of the team. And you have some Native American tribes that totally hate the name of the team. And then you have some Native American tribes that really don't give a shit. You know, they feel like the name of the team, it's a representation of Native Americans as a group of people. So they're proud of that. I'm still going to be a fan of the Washington Redskins because I was born and raised in Maryland, and that's the football team that I've known. So I give them my full support. I don't disparage against anyone because we all bleed red. So that's pretty much about that. But you can always check out the news and the media about this occurrence, this event that's happening. But all the same, if you like this video, I hope that you like, subscribe, and share. Peace.